we have a variety of unearthed arcana that feel a bit psychic-based in nature. Let's start delving into that. Let's start with the fighter.
Yes, in this Unearthed Arcana, we have 3 subclasses that have a theme in common, and that is each of them are using the power of the mind, often called psionics, to fuel their abilities. So the fighter is the psychic warrior. The psychic warrior has appeared in D&D in past editions, and so returns in 5th edition in this Unearthed Arcana to wield psionic and also telekinetic, well, specifically telekinetic power to move people around on the battlefield, call up, sort of protective force, also to use psychic power to bolster their attacks. So this is essentially, if anyone has ever wanted to play a fighter who might feel a little bit like Darth Vader, this is...
I would be that man.
Yes, this is that fighter. And Dan Dillon did the initial design on it, and the feedback that I kept giving while he was working on it was more Darth Vader.
More Vader?
Yes.
Not more tentacles.
No. Yeah,
but more Vader.
Yeah.
How do you evoke something Vader-esque?
So part of that was I really wanted, and Dan agreed, for the psychic warrior to go in a telekinetic direction.
Yes.
Anytime you start playing in the psionics pool, there are a variety of directions you can go in. You can really lean into telepathy and other abilities that involve the manipulation or the peering into of minds. You can do telekinesis, moving around objects. And then, of course, there are also other classic psionic abilities, far sight, that sort of thing. Here, we really wanted the psychic warrior to be about telekinesis, partly because the fighter is so much the class about physical might. So with thought, especially if the psychic warrior was going to appear next to the soul knife, a rogue subclass,
right,
and then also a psionic-themed wizard subclass, wanted to make sure they each actually had their own sort of portion of the psionics pie. And the fighter, it made the most sense to be the one who, again, is hurling people away, but also one of their abilities is, no, you over here. You're going to stay here. And we specifically designed it so that this subclass works well whether you're a ranged fighter or a melee fighter, and that's why you have like a choice again of no, get away from me, or no, come over here. The fighter also can use their telekinetic abilities to provide protection for themselves and also at certain points for their allies. So they can be a very protective Vader or a very offensive one. This is also a fighter who's going to, in addition to emphasizing their strength or dexterity, they're going to want to make sure they have a reasonably high intelligence, because some of their abilities do care about what their intelligence modifier is.
Another intelligence fighter.
Yes.
That's 3 now.
The game is hungry for intelligence characters.
The game is hungry for intelligence characters.
Yes.
Not so hungry for charisma-based characters.
Yeah, the game is rich with charisma-based characters, strength characters, pretty much every other of the main stats that we tend to use for character abilities are covered well.
Yeah.
Whereas, in the player's handbook, the wizard is, all by themselves as the intelligence characters. So we've enjoyed creating some other intelligence-based characters, which also is nice for people who like to multi-class. So it fills a conceptual space in terms of types of characters if you like to play single class characters, but also gives you some new interesting options if you're somebody who uses the multi-class optional rule and you like to dip into other classes.
What do you like about the flavor of this fighter, this psychic fighter? Like, what makes it, like, because you describe, those telekinetic abilities of being able to, like, draw some to or push them away or be able to protect everybody. But like, why is that such an iconic thing? Because it's almost like the Gish in a way. Like Vader is almost like the original Gish.
Right. Well, people going all the way back to first edition have been enchanted by the marriage of martial prowess and some kind of supernatural ability, whether that's spellcasting, some kind of supernatural class feature. That marriage of the two appeals to a slice of sort of the D&D audience. This in particular I enjoy because I just simply love psionic abilities. They actually feature strongly in my home setting. It's neat when you have a character also who, in a way, their power just comes from themselves. That's also a story we have for the monk. You know, a monk's key is very much that. Whereas, you know, we have other characters, paladins and clerics being the prime example, warlocks as well, where they get their power from some external source. Wizards, you know, study their way to it. So it's neat to have characters who have this power that, like, they're it. This, however it manifested, they have this psionic spark within themselves, and they're able to use it to fuel these really spectacular abilities. It's also fun because it has a little bit of a science fiction feel to it.
Yeah.
That has always been there in D&D. Many people don't realize that psionic abilities were in the first edition player's handbook and could be sprinkled into characters of any class. It's frankly why we made sure that in the 5th edition player's handbook, there are actually a number of spells and class features that intentionally have a psionic flavor, because that's always been a part of D&D's DNA, without the need of having actually a separate sort of system to model it.
Yeah, that's why I've been curious, because it seems like the design philosophy for UA has been to have a psionic version of each class without building a completely new system.
Yeah, some editions of the game have gone that route of, oh, Psionics gets its whole system. The issue with that is typically where that leads, even though it can often be a lot of fun, is most people then don't use it.
Right.
And so there's always, for us, we're always balancing, delivering the thing that many of us like and that we want, whether it's psionics or something else in D&D, and balancing that with, well, we want as many people to enjoy this and actually use it at their game tables as possible.
Right.
And really here, we're going back to the game's roots, which is you can have these abilities and they don't need a whole other rule book to explain their use. And also, they've already been in 5th edition. That's why, in a way, we didn't blow a bugle before we started doing this recent UA with like the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer of, we're doing, something different.
Yeah.
Psionics are already in the core books. We have monsters in the monster manual with psionic abilities actually called out in their stat blocks.
Yeah.
We have the great old one Warlock in the player's handbook who has psionic abilities.
Right.
We have spells that are psionically flavored. This has been intentional from the very beginning. And the Psychic Warrior really is a fighter I would love to play.
If you ever got to play.
If I ever get to play, that's right. I am actually going to be playing D&D, I think on New Year's Day. We've just put it on the calendar, and I'm going to be playing a barbarian.
Well, you're always welcome to be a guest on my show.
Right.
If you want a completely insane 2 hours, you obviously get to play whatever you want. I'm sure you could design whatever you wanted. So.
Well, it's funny when I do play, because I like. It's so rare that I do.
Yeah.
I will almost always just use what's in the player's handbook.
Yeah.
Because if I use something that like we're currently working on or that's Unearthed Arcana, my work brain is on. Yeah. Whereas to just relax and play,
right.
It's like I'll just stick with what's in the PH.
Yeah.
But this Psychic Warrior, perfect if you want to play the fighter who is not only super strong or dexterous, but also has a mighty mind, and is using that mind to move things around and move people around, and also provide protection for your allies.
I'm very excited for this. I'm excited for everything, apparently, but I'm very excited.
I'm excited about it, too.
I love Darth Vader. Every time I see Darth Vader, I giggle inside. My dad, carved me a Darth Vader when I lost my toy. That's how attached to Darth Vader. I still have it. It's like this whittled Darth Vader he painted the same day.
I know, I feel that, because when I was a kid, most of my friends, their favorite Star Wars characters were like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. No, for me, I had two favorites. They were Princess Leia and Darth Vader, which were essentially the two main characters who first appeared on screen.
Right, because and also the strongest personalities. Out of the gate, Leia is not messing around.
No, I was always puzzled when people were like, oh, Luke is the leader or Han is the leader. I'm like, no, Leia was the boss. She was the one who gave them the prizes at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. Han Solo's great and everything, but that guy is the goof. He's just doing his best. But yeah, Vader, no one can beat that scene of him walking in and just holding his belt and just lackadaisically looking at all of the death.
Yep. But you have all these people panicked fighting him.
Yeah.
But who strides in and sasses him to his face?
Yeah.
Princess Leia.
Yeah, terror. You're worried for her, and then you're like, why are you this confident? Yeah. Then you start to wonder. It's a great scene.
Then you wonder, should we worry for Darth Vader? Because Princess Leia is about to incinerate him.
It is. It's just a great scene. It's perfect.